Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this conversation about your Kundalini awakening experience. My name is Chrism, and I'd like to welcome everybody who's in the chat room. And I see Manisha's typing, Mary Jean's typing. Hopefully, people can hear. We got to do our normal little sound check here. Hopefully, Vincent, Mary Jean, or Manisha, or Helly can let me know if this sound is actually coming through. Sometimes with BlogTalk Radio, you don't know if you're talking to the air or not. The sound is excellent. Well, thank you. Very good. Okay, here we go. Zipping and zooming right into our conversation today. I'd like to talk with you about being in the Kundalini Zone. And what I mean by that is that when the Kundalini activation comes upon a person, and I can't say that it's this way for every person, but I can say it is this way for many people. Your world begins to get closed off from anything that isn't the Kundalini. You may feel compelled to just stay at home. You may feel compelled to stay away from home and stay somewhere where you can just be within the instructions of the Kundalini. And the instructions of the Kundalini would often be along the lines of, stay away from large crowds. Don't go into a mall. Don't go to a large sporting event or something like that. Right now, you need to kind of just buckle down and be with the Kundalini and listen to the Kundalini and follow the instructions that the Kundalini is giving you. And in many ways, that takes you right out of your social environment. And you may find, those of you that have had this occur or are having it occur, you may find that not only will it be your social friend network or workmate or, church friend or whatever, those types of relationships, it may also take you right out of your family relationships. Not typically if you have kids. So we're not talking about parents and children right now, unless it's full grown. If you're a child and your parents are full grown, then maybe not. Maybe that's the other way around. If you're a parent and your kids are full grown, and say the family's kind of reached adulthood, then this can happen to the family as well. You can be taken right out of the familiar social communication environment that you've grown accustomed to. It's very important for you to remember this, very important for you to understand that when you are being sequestered that way, when you are being taken into this Kundalini zone by the Kundalini itself, and by the actions of the Kundalini upon your interest levels, upon your levels of focus, upon your preferences, upon those areas of strengths and weaknesses that the Kundalini will use to begin your training in earnest. And by earnest, I mean closing you off from everything around you or everyone around you to some degree, and just having you focus on the Kundalini itself. And in that way, you can see the safeties. You may be thinking, well, how can I do the safeties if I'm not out in public? How do I interact with people if I'm being sequestered off in my apartment or my house or my trailer or my log cabin? Well, you definitely will have to go into society. It's just that you won't be able to go into the society for the purpose of visiting friends. You'll go into society to shop or to do the basic necessities that you need to take care of. And in those interactions with clerks, with perfect strangers, with people that you may meet at the store, at the petrol station, or wherever. When you come in contact with those, that's where the safety protocols come in. If a perfect stranger, does something to you that is unfortunate, or your forgiveness comes up, your tolerance comes up, your patience comes up, and so you can have the sequestration from the Kundalini. You can be put into that Kundalini zone where it's all basically about the Kundalini and you, and at the same time practice the safeties, because you will have to go shopping. You will have to, do the things that are necessary to keep your life moving in the way that it has been moving. And the Kundalini will support that to a large degree. She's not going to, unless your job is so toxic to you, or a relationship is so toxic to you that the Kundalini itself says, "Oh man, this relationship's history." She won't go out of her way to take a relationship away. It has to really, really have levels of toxicity either present in it or coming towards you. Maybe starting a relationship with an axe murderer, or having a relationship with somebody who's just basically in it to steal your money, or to steal things, or to hurt you. Basically interactions with those who would not be supportive of the agenda of transformation that the Kundalini is directing you towards right now in your life. And so you get put into this zone of sequestration, meaning you're cut off from your familiar interests, your familiar people, your familiar understandings of life, and you're put into this intense training zone of everything Kundalini. If you have a teacher, well then, boom, then you're spending a lot of time with that teacher. And if you don't have a teacher, then you're being directed by your Kundalini for specific levels of information that allow you to partake of that Kundalini zone on your own. Got to remember, you've got this divine force within you. It is on its own within you. You are on its own with it inside you. So it can direct you. Don't be surprised. It can direct you, and your main consideration in that scenario is discernment. You got to be able to discern that it is indeed the Kundalini and not your ego, that it is indeed the Kundalini and not an entity. We have to look at levels of corruption. We have to look at levels of fear. We have to look at levels of fear of loss and want of gain. We have to look at levels of self-aggrandizement. It's like, are we starting to phrase our Kundalini as the ascension path? Hello, yes, I'm ascending in front of you right now. You just can't see it because it's happening in a very special way. So, you got to look at it in ways that, does it feed self-aggrandizement? Does it feed levels of ego? Does it feed levels of entity interaction that would place limitations, perhaps, on your ability to accept what Kundalini is bringing to you? So you have to really look at that. For those of you that are already in the zone, you must really buckle down and pay attention to what the Kundalini wants you to see, wants you to hear, wants you to smell, taste, touch. She really is focusing all of her attention on you right now, giving your body some time to rest, giving your body some time that it has to be in a specific activity. You may find yourself sleeping 14 hours a day or more. I kid you not. You may go to bed at 8 in the evening and not get up until 10 o'clock in the morning. And this is normal. This is not abnormal at all. This is something that people really need to understand, that this is a true happening. And the Kundalini will often require you to sleep much, much longer and far deeper than you normally would. And that's just one aspect of it. It may really start telling you that you need a certain supplement. Let's just say you need, you might start having visions of iron tablets if you're iron deficiency, or you might start getting drawn to seaweed or seafood if you've got an iodine deficiency. You might see a lot of oranges or lemons. You might smell them in an empty room if you have a vitamin C deficiency. And so the Kundalini will really guide you along these lines, along these familiar sensorial-based patterns, to help you realign your diet, to help you change and transform according to what the Kundalini requires in your body to substantiate that change and transformation. Okay. You don't want to necessarily do this out of a fear reaction. You don't want to just all of a sudden go, oh my gosh, I guess I need to ground. My Kundalini is just too strong for me at the moment. I just need to ground it. And then you just start eating meat or masturbating or, putting soil in a box and expecting that to ground you. Please, tell me that you're not doing this. Tell me that you're not doing this. And Helly, who is on the chat room right now, she says, I have slept 12 to 14 hours per day and feeling tired all the time. And I'm looking for a whine in there, but I'm gonna pretend that it's not there. And Helly, you might look at that atomidine equation for yourself. But also, you just got to understand that the Kundalini will take its time with you, and it's not going to materialize the way your ego and your comfort zones are used to seeing things materialize. Not at all. So it's very important for you to realize this and not go into resistance. You don't need to self-commit to a hospital because you think that you're sleeping too much. Or you think that I'm tired all the time, and then you expect to go to the hospital and you expect people that don't even recognize the existence of spirit, for crying out loud, to be able to see the effects of spirit upon the human body. So, they're not going to find the truth no matter what. They'll make a truth up and try to make it fit your symptoms in order to make themselves not look stupid. This happens a lot. I've worked with physicians in the back office, right? So here's what happens. You come to the doctor's office for your general checkup, and I say, okay, I'll say, yes, Miss Manisha. Yes, Miss Manisha, it's your turn. Here, step into this room here and have a seat on the table. And I'll take your pulse and I'll look at your respirations and, I'll do a subjective, objective assessment prognosis report upon you. And then that all gets done, the BP, the blood pressure, the pulse rate, the breathing, all of that stuff, what the complaint is, what they're telling you it is, and what they're showing you it is, blah, blah, blah. That all gets done. And then those notes get turned over to the physician, and he or she is looking at that going, oh, okay, that's the SOAP assessment, and oh, I see, she's sleeping 14 hours a day, and she's not eating her normal diet, and she feels weak, and she feels tired, and oh my God, it's just horrible. Oh, okay, all right, so MD goes in, has a chat, maybe 15 minutes, then goes back, gets online, punches in those symptoms, and comes up with something based upon what fits in with the scientific assumptions of what that may be, and it's certainly not going to be Kundalini. At least not in these days. Maybe that will be changing someday, but right now, Kundalini is not going to be the first thing the doctors are going to land on. And so it's very important for people that have the Kundalini to realize this and to not put themselves through, the medical industry of measurements and replication and tests and doctors and nurses with superiority and inferiority complexes. Okay, the best thing you can do is realize that you have Kundalini, be in line with the Kunalini, be in balance with the Kunalini, be accepting of the Kunalini, rather than trying to revert to your old ways of dealing with patterns of physical ailment that may have been the case when you were 5, but aren't necessarily the case right now. Okay? So, Manisha says, yes, sir. It's very important for people to understand that the Kundalini can take over old symptoms of malaise and use it for its own transformative purposes. So, what the MDs would call chronic fatigue syndrome, or fibromyalgia, or menopausal symptoms, or phantom pain. Well, these are all catch terms for stuff that the physicians have no clue about. Okay? They don't know, and so they're just going to, this is phantom pain. And it just takes you to like what? I mean, like a Marvel comic book, the Phantom of Pain, does he wear a red cape and administer pain to everybody? I mean, come on. Or spiritual emergency, when they're describing Kundalini symptoms. And so you just need to understand that you have the Kundalini, and that the Kundalini is taking you through the transformative process. And yes, you will sleep for many, many hours. Some of you will sleep for less than you'd ever been able to sleep before in your life, and you'll think that you should be sleepy because the Kundalini only gave you 4 hours of sleep before it woke you up again and wouldn't let you go back to sleep. Well, just the transverse is true for you too. It's just that you're not being given the 14 hours of sleep. You're being given the 4 hours of sleep, and that's all that you require at that moment. And you just need to say, thank you, Kundalini. And it's teaching you to get out of the programming that the ego just so loves to identify with, that programming that says, wow, I didn't really get a good sleep last night. I only got 4 hours, and I should get 8. And if I don't get 8 hours of sleep, then I'm just not the man that I need to be, and I can't do my job, and I can't drive my car, and my appetite goes out the window, and I drink much more coffee than I should, and, the list goes on. And I'm suggesting to this person, stop resisting the Kundalini. Stop pretending that your situation is the same as it always has been. When the Kundalini comes, everything starts to change. You need to understand that. You need to get a grip on that reality because it is the true reality. You've got to understand this. It is a true reality. And it is a reality that is not backed up by science. It's a reality that is not backed up by the art of medicine. A lot of doctors like to consider themselves scientists. But the medical industry is based upon the art of medicine, not the science of medicine. Medicine is an art, and they call it an art when they don't, when they can't cure you. They say, "Oh well, it's an art," They call it a science when they think they can cure you because, well, it's medical science, And so I see. Good. So, it's very, it's something to be really, really aware of as you enter into a hospital or as you're in that Kundalini zone and you see your life changing all around you. All of a sudden, you have no friends around you. You have nothing familiar around you. Maybe she's moved you to a completely different city where you don't know anybody. You don't know anybody. And she's not letting you know anyone. She's not letting you have friends over. She's not letting you have family over, and by she, I'm talking about the Kundalini, the sacred feminine. Kundalini isn't allowing you to have employment. She may be forcing you to live off of your savings, something you never thought you would do. You know, you who are saving up for that nice fat retirement, you know, get me my piece of land, and you know, speaking for Chrism, you know, my trailer on that piece of land, and you know, a gold-plated kitty poop container for Lasha, of course, because Lasha's just that way. You know. So yeah, I mean, those of you that are saving for the retirement, oh my gosh, you know, and all of a sudden the Kundalini has you using that money that you've secreted away for your retirement, is all of a sudden being used to pay your rent because you're not allowed to have a job. Think about that. That's also part of being in the Kundalini zone. Lots of changes will occur. For some of you, you'll lose your relationship. Your current relationship will go right out the window. If spouse is an alcoholic and can't stop drinking, well, the Kundalini will begin to terminate that relationship, because Kundalini does not want that energy vibe affecting your transformation. You know, if you're in a house of criminals, you know, and they're actively committing crime, well, you know, that scenario may also be changed because of the low level of ethic that you're being surrounded with. I mean, there are many, many, many permutations of what it is to be in the Kundalini zone, but you just got to understand that you're not broken. Just because things are not fitting in nice and neat with the ego assumptions of how life should be does not mean that you're sick, or you're, you know, in need of medical care or psychiatric care or shamanic care or any kind of alternative therapy care. You know, you're not sick. You're not in need of care. You're in need of understanding the Kundalini and what it wants from you. And once you start to understand what the Kundalini wants from you, you can begin to accept these changes that are occurring in a much, much more pleasant way, much more a way that allows you to have peace and serenity inside of this condition. I'm going to give you the lo-fi connection options. That's what they call it. They call it lo-fi. I don't know why they call it lo-fi. Anyway, the guest call-in number is New York City area code 347-934-0026. That is 347-934-0026. And go ahead and give us a call, and the Celtic Queen of Questionable Comforts will answer that phone call, and she'll query you just to make sure you're not trying to spam the radio show, which does happen because we don't have that 5-second delay. And then she'll either hang up on you really rudely, or she'll pass you on over to me, and then you'll just have to take your chances. So the guest call-in number is 347-934-0026. Call in and make it about your Kundalini. If you've got any question about your Kundalini that hasn't been given to you by the Kundalini or hasn't been answered, well, you feel free. This is the time to get some information. And as I said in other programs, within the Kundalini, it is information that is power. This gives you the power of understanding. This gives you the power to be able to take what it is the Kundalini is giving you with grace and gratitude and understanding. And when you have grace and gratitude and understanding inside of a Kundalini equation, that equation goes very, very well. Very, very well, and can quite possibly take you even further than your initial evolutionary standard would have required if you didn't know about the Kundalini and you just kind of, you know, you didn't know about it. Okay, so we have we have that. Now I'm gonna come over here to Suntara.
Hi, Chrism.
Hey.
Hi, everybody.
So, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. I have to smile though when you tell everybody that there's a 5-second delay. I think, okay, that's probably not a good thing for people to know.
What is it? What?
No, nothing. I'm just smiling at the thought of somebody using that 5-second delay information to actually to their advantage.
I thought that too. I thought that as I said it. So there we go. I'm sure we can count on Vincent or Mary Jean or Manisha or Helly or Amit, to call us in and to start giving us, shall we say, some good questions and good.
That would be great, actually. If somebody in the chat room would like to do that. I haven't seen the chat room for a long time because it's not working on my iPad. So hi to everybody there. And it's great. The sound is good, Chrism.
Well, here we go. Now, Vincent 91, now he's typing, so it's probably going to go right off my screen. And he says, by the way, Chrism, can that also go the other way around? I was all by myself focused on forgiveness all year, but now I'm finding myself focusing more on getting a job and some social interactions. Yes, it can indeed. It can indeed work that way, Vincent. Typically, it is the other way around, though. Typically, you already have that job or you already have those social interactions, and it's those things that you already have that are helping you to feel grounded in a certain way that the Kundalini will pull up around you and change that familiar setting for yourself. And so typically, Vincent, it is the other way around. It is the fact that you have the job or you have the social interactions, and she takes that away from you. And it's not a guarantee. I don't want anybody thinking that the Kundalini Zone is designed for them to lose their job. That is not the case. It just is the case sometime. If the job is toxic, the Kundalini will take away that job. And Vincent asks again, he says, but she doesn't have to write? No idea what that means. No, the Kundalini doesn't have to write. She doesn't need to use a pencil or a pen or a paper or, she doesn't have to do any of those things. And Manisha says, I have that job, but did not have a lot of people contact for many years. I know that I have to go out into the world to connect with a lot of people somehow in whatever way. Yeah, Manisha, you had that job, you had that type of a deal, but for you, Manisha, it's connecting with people that through your dance and through your movement and through the Kundalini movement within you. I think it's very important for you to go out and connect and make contact with people. You're the reverse of that to some degree, but don't be surprised, Manisha, if she closes that down too. And, makes you hibernate for a little bit with just the Kundalini within you. And now Vincent responds. He says, is that resistance if you try to initiate a relationship or to go out or try to put yourself in social environment like sports or yoga? Well, yes, that would be resisting the Kundalini. That would be your ego trying to open up your world instead of close down your world. In many ways, the Kundalini wants you to close down your world so she can do a lot of change to you and to train you and to teach you and to educate you and to, definitely go through actual physical transformation given by a force that is already within you, but also is so powerful that it can change you in the ways that it does. So yeah, you don't want to go and if you're finding yourself kind of being put into a position of extreme privacy, social deprivation, societal deprivation, employment deprivation, well, that's exactly where you need to be right now. And if she has you living off of your savings, well, then live frugally. Okay? Don't go out and buy a black sports car, and tear around town, trying to impress people that you're not even going to be allowed to interact with. You just got to do the basic things. You've got to exercise your body. You've got to, give the body sufficient nutrients along the lines of what Kundalini wants you to eat. Stay hydrated. Keep your electrolytes balanced. And do what you're told. Do what you're told or compelled to do by the Kundalini. And you need to be very, very strong in your discernment levels, too. Discern that this isn't from the ego going, oh, gosh, I feel like something comfortable today. Or an entity going, oh, gosh, you should listen to that ego. That ego is that ego is your lifesaver. And oh, by the way, you might want to steal that person's wallet. They just left it on the counter there, but go ahead and take that. That's what an entity will do. Typically, entities are very corrupting. So you need to be able to discern beyond what your ego or any of the attendant corrupting activities that may get in the way. So you discern your way through that and come to the pure, clean understanding that the Kundalini doesn't want you to have a wide social a pattern right now. She doesn't want you to have a full dance card. She doesn't want you to have any of those things. Let's see. And Mary Jean is asking, how does the close down and hibernation last? Is it permanent? No, Mary Jean. Great question, by the way. It is not permanent. It is quite impermanent, but it is permanent for a certain amount of time. And Amit, you're going to need to stop typing so that I can get to these things here. Thank you. Yeah, Mary Jean, it's a transient phase, but it's a very, very, very important phase. Now, this phase can last a number of years if it must. It's not typical, but it does happen to some. I'd say it does. It happens at least to 50%. And a lot of it depends on how the Kundalini is closing down a person's social environment and how that person is responding to the closure of that social environment. So let's just say that, and this is a true story, gentleman is given a house, the family house that he was raised in. It's a beautiful house, worth a lot of money. Out here in California, for those of you who live in California, everything is expensive out here. And all of a sudden, his Kundalini comes along and says, oh, guess what? You have to sell your house. Well, I don't want to sell my house. Well, you have to sell your house. Well, I don't want to sell my house. Well, you have to sell your house. Well, I don't want to sell my house. Sell the damn house. So he sells the house. Sells the house. And he gets some money on it. And the Kundalini says, go live on the 8th floor of that high-rise there. And he gets on the 8th floor there. And he's living there. But he's not allowed social companionship. He's not allowed. He's being closed down. He's being taken away from familiar surroundings, i.e. the house that he was told to sell. He's being placed in very, very unfamiliar surroundings, i.e. the 8th floor of some high-rise in some town in Southern California. And, he's told to quit his job. Well, this guy has, a fairly high-powered position, making lots of money. And, you need to take a job that pays you less money, but will allow the Kundalini to transform you by making it an easier job than you currently hold. And this person knows by now that you don't resist the Kundalini. And so he quits his high-paying job, and he takes the lower-paying job. And this this is very, very important because this man is beginning to surrender to the Kundalini, and this is working well for him. But it's been 3 years now, 4 years, and he still has very, very limited social contact. And so the scenario is it takes as long as it's going to take for you, Mary Jean. It's not going to be like a cookie cutter type of thing. It's not going to be the same way for everybody because we all come into this with different levels of karma and different levels of an equation that we need to accomplish in our lifetime. But this can occur, and this is something that is occurring right now to Kundalini people that I'm working with, and so it's a very good subject, I think, to cover right now. Now I'm going to back it up here a little bit, and a gentleman by the name of Amit writes, I did not have a job for a long time, and I have been depressed and worrying like crazy, but I have this unbelievable faith or confidence now, which I feel is the Kundalini, where I am unable to really worry. But couldn't this be a reverse ego? Reverse ego. Oh, God, it's not bad enough that we have an ego. Now we have a forward ego and a reverse ego. Maybe we can add a left-turning ego, a right-turning ego, an up ego, and a down ego, just to really, flesh it out a bit. There's no such thing as a reverse ego unless you have created a reverse ego. I think this is great. I think that you are indeed being given from the Kundalini where you're unable to really worry. And yet, in the very next line, you say, but couldn't this be a reverse ego? So it's not, you kind of contradict yourself right there, don't you think? Where I'm unable to really worry, but couldn't this be a reverse ego? So there's the contradiction. Everything that Amit said before that, I did not have a job for a long time, and I have been depressed. Well, the depression comes from not being in a position that is recognizable or that is sustainable according to the ego person. And so, this is what people deal with regards to this. And the Kundalini can bring a person an amazing level of faith and confidence, which allows them to continue doing what they're doing. And as far as, I've answered the last part of that already. And so, this is a good thing. And this ego may eventually lead me astray. Yeah, I'll go with ashtray. Put that reverse ego concept in the ashtray there. And Manisha asked, before my activation, I had many years of very little social life. Well, see, yours is just going to go around the other way, Manisha. You did the mom thing, the wife thing. You raised the kids, and in many ways that will supersede what you were allowed to do for your own self. For your own development, because you're so busy, developing the children. That's often common with parents. They can't do anything until the kids are gone, and then they can really buckle down. Now I know that there are plenty of people that have kids that are having the Kundalini right now. So I'm not trying to make a statement that is to be strictly interpreted one way, but I am definitely making a statement that in many cases parental responsibilities are taken seriously by the Kundalini. Just as we don't, just as we raise our kids, so is she raising us, and she's not raising us in order to abandon our children, unless that is indeed part of the plan. Okay? And sometimes that can be part of the plan. And so you just have to understand that these things do occur sometimes, and you do need to be aware that your surrender to the Kundalini is one of the most important aspects to your Kundalini awakening equation. How you surrender to being in the Kundalini zone. like Vincent was asking earlier, do you fight it or do you embrace it? And if you embrace it, how do you embrace it? Well, the way you embrace it really is to follow its instructions. It's giving you very, very specific instructions, and in many ways, you're not able to say keep that social life going the way, or the employment social life going, or the relationship and social life going. Those things may have to fall away, or they can actually be improved as well. I know that other people, they have a spouse, and the Kundalini and that spouse go together well, and that relationship doesn't have to go, but maybe some other aspect of that person's life has to be changed in order for the energy to flow better within that individual. And so I'm going to swing it on over here to Santara here. Hello?
Hi, Chrism, I'm back.
Yeah, it said you dropped.
No, I was speaking with somebody on the phone, but they're not coming on. But I'm just giving some information, including the information about where to go to make a donation. The person was extremely appreciative of the work that you do, and couldn't remain to hear where she could go. So can I just take this opportunity and give out that information now as well, Chrism?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so for people who would like to make a donation, who are in a position to do that, it's very much appreciated and gratefully received. And there are two places you can go. The first one is www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com. And I think the easier one to remember is chrism-kundalini.blogspot.com. And the donate button is there, and it is very easy to donate once you get to that point. So I just wanted to say that, Chrism, and thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Have it said. Were you going to ask me something, because I've missed the conversation?
You did?
Well, yeah, because I don't hear you when I'm talking to somebody.
Well, what's the price of rice in Ireland right now?
Well, it totally depends on the import tax, because we don't grow it.
Well, I don't know where you left off, so I'll just continue along here. Did you notice when you were in the Kundalini Zone, Santara?
Oh, yes, Chrism. I mean, the Kundalini Zone, I don't know, does it go away? I mean, my experience has been that there have been a few zones. I mean, if I was to think of the zone in terms visually of a circle, I've had some very specific circles, and some of them have intersected. I mean, at the very, very beginning, the zone would have been where I would have fallen away from social groups. Things like, it would have hurt my ears when I was out late at night. It became a bit intolerable sound and things like that. I didn't understand a lot of it at the time when it was happening to me, but the Kundalini was moving me into a position where I was letting go of social groups and friends that didn't suit what the Kundalini wanted for me, and so a lot of things fell away, especially groups that were involved with social outings and drinking. I would have also found that, when people were talking to me, I wouldn't have been able to connect anymore with what they were saying, or I wasn't interested in their opinions or in gossip, things like that. And then there were other zones later on, I mean, Kundalini moved me down to Kerry, and that was into, so I could be in a very particular zone that she wanted me to be in at that particular time, or I knew nobody. I knew nobody. And I didn't develop any friends down there. There were three things going on. I was with my family. I was doing a lot of work with my Kundalini teacher. And also, I was allowed to connect in with a group in connection with becoming a massage therapist, because that's what the Kundalini wanted me to do. And that went on for a few years. And there's lots of other, I have other examples as well, you know. But they'd be two.
Yes.
Okay. My throat is hurting me.
All right. Yeah. So yeah. Give that a break. Give that a break for the moment.
Thank you.
So it's really important to recognize when the Kundalini has come to you. Number one, in the activated stage, and you need to look. Partly, you need to look at some of your phenomena. So you want to look at some of the phenomena that's occurring. Are you having kriyas? Are you seeing entities? Are you hearing voices that nobody else hears? Things of that nature. And then you need to start adding up your symptoms and seeing, okay, where does that fit on the Kundalini scale? And then where you find yourself on the Kundalini scale, well, then you can understand that you're inside of an activation. Once you understand that you're inside of an activation of the Kundalini, well, then you can start putting your life together based upon your surrender to the agenda that the Kundalini has for you. So in a way, it becomes this partnership. And with you basically listening and the Kundalini basically teaching. And, it's not easy for people that are, really strongly goal-oriented individuals, that are being told that they have to come back to kindergarten. People are in their 40s, people are in their 30s. These are adults. We're not talking about little kids all the time. And not everybody wants to go back to kindergarten when it comes to learning something. And Amit is asking again. He says it, meaning something, was totally opposite for me. He says he was being drawn more to social life in groups, even though he would still remain alone and lonely, but within a lot of people. That doesn't really sound like a zone. That could just be, a social environment that just isn't working out or doesn't have a lot of resonance for an individual. So yeah, I'm not looking at that Amit in a way that is along the lines of what I'm talking about. And Manisha writes, well, I know this too. She says, I had this for many years, feeling alone while being with people. But now I'm connecting much better, and I can still have the lonely feeling, though. And anyway, everybody's going on and on and on about their social life now. But yeah, typically you're taken out of a social environment. Yes, Santara, I'm sorry.
I was going to say I'd agree, Chrism. It's a removal, for me anyway, as well. It's a removal from how your life was. It's a very, very definite.
It's a very definite removal. It's not, it's not being the wallflower at the dance.
Yeah. It's
not that at all. That's just low third chakra activity there. So low self-esteem and feeling alone while being with people. But no, with the zone aspect that I'm talking about, it's as you mentioned, Centaur. It's the removal of you from a social environment, or from a relationship, or from an employment, or from any given sector of human expression that the Kundalini decides to remove you from. It's a taking away, not an adding to. And so it's very important for people to understand that. Now, I'm going to move it on over to Her Holiness, the Queen of Questionable Comforts, Santara Kundalini, to begin your questioning. I didn't look at the clock closely enough.
Okay, so no, it's fine. So, okay, so the first question is about sex, Chrism. You know, it comes up, it's about sex.
Sex.
And the Kundalini.
Oh,
you know, it's often,
because you said
written.
Said sex system, and I thought, whoa.
Oh no, sorry.
I'm kidding.
I'll slow down my speech because I might be speaking too quickly on air. Okay, so it's often written or said that Kundalini can be transferred via sex from one partner to another. Could you say if that is the case? I mean, sometimes when people speak about that, it makes it sound as though it's casual, as though, you know, the Kundalini is transferred sort of as casually as, we'll say, the sexual fluids. I mean, is it necessary to tell a partner about Kundalini before one has sex with them? Because of this, you know, Kundalini can be transferred via sex.
Well, you know, I think it is. I think it's the kind and considerate thing to do, because it certainly can be transferred from a person to person. You know, if person A has sex with person B, and person A is activated with Kundalini, well, then person B is possible. It's possible for them to become activated too. Now, it may not be accidental. You know, the person A may have been pushed towards or attracted to person B by virtue of the Kundalini within them. But person B doesn't know anything about that, okay? And they have to be given a special education with regards to Kundalini. But the other thing is to be kind and to be considerate, is also to be honest and truthful. And if that person that person A is wanting to have sex with person B, well, if person B doesn't feel like that's something they want to do, then you need to be able to make it clear to them that, yes, indeed, you know, I have the Kundalini and you might get it too. And I know that can possibly end a relationship, because right now, you know, on the internet and in certain publications, Kundalini is not seen as a good thing. It's, you know, they understand it's divine, they understand it's beautiful, it can give you grace and bliss and ecstasy and joy. But because they can't control it, they label it something that is quite dangerous. And, you know, and these are the people that should be afraid of it, because they are trying to control it. Kundalini doesn't get controlled very well. And so, yeah, I would say with regards to a potential boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, if you're going to have those kinds of relationships, you know, where the flesh, the fluids, the reproductive fluids are mixing, then people need to be aware. And I would say, ethically, it is upon you to say, yes, indeed, this may, in fact, activate your Kundalini.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Chrism. So next question is, what happens to us? What happens to us who have the Kundalini when the body ages? Typically, when we get old, the body will get weak and fragile in many ways. How will this fragile body manage when it also has a very strong Kundalini inside?
Well, if it has a strong Kundalini inside, then it's not so fragile, is it? I mean, come on. I mean, you can't say a strong Kundalini and yet, oh, this fragile old body. I mean, the Kundalini energizes the body. It keeps the immune system strong. And the immune system being strong keeps the cancers away. The cancers being kept away don't take as much of a toll on the body. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. You can't say in the same sentence, oh, but I have an old, weak body because I'm aging, and oh, but I got a very active Kundalini. You don't want to go that route with it, because it doesn't make any sense. Certainly not the sense that people are looking for. With regards to aging in the Kundalini, you will age, but you can remain as supple, you can remain as healthy, you can remain strong, you can retain your mental stability, your emotional stability, your inner serenity. I mean, Kundalini does not necessarily do all the work for you. You're going to have to do the exercise. You're going to have to follow the safeties. You're going to have to do the 5 Tibetans or the Tai Chi or the Qigong or the Pilates or the yoga, some sort of hatha yoga. You're going to have to get out there and breathe the fresh air. You're going to have to ground yourself. There are all kinds of things that you have to do based upon the fact that you're having the Kundalini that you would not normally have to do by just being a regular unawakened person. This also carries into your aging process. And so you don't really get to separate the Kundalini from the aging process and go, oh, okay, I've got this fragile body, but I have active Kundalini. Because Kundalini activity within that body is not going to allow the aging body to become that fragile, little lump of cancer or disease or unease or disability that would otherwise happen without the Kundalini. Over.
Well, the next question is, I'll ask it anyway. Do we who have the Kundalini activated or awakened have a less chance of getting seriously ill with cancers, etc., or are the risks just as small or as big as the rest of the population?
It depends on how you're responding to your Kundalini, really. Are you reaching out into the population? Are you giving goodness, kindness, grace, gratitude, happiness, joy, healing, service? Are you doing those things? Well, even if you are doing those things, if you're only to be here for a certain amount of time, that lifetime commitment will be honored, and you'll be dead at 62, if that's the year that you're supposed to die in, at the year of life you're supposed to die in. We have karmic responsibilities, too, that tie right in with the Kundalini. Now, the Kundalini can indeed alter a person's karmic path. Doesn't necessarily do that very often, but it can alter a person's karmic path as far as dying goes. As far as cancers go, once again, if you have an improved immune system, well, you have an improved system that doesn't allow cancer to take hold in the body as readily as it would without it. If you're following the Kundalini dietary standards, if you're not drinking a lot of caffeine, if you're having a good mixture of plants and compact proteins, if you're taking your vitamins, having a good vitamin C complex, and getting outside and having that prana, moving yourself, helping other people, well, that is going to indeed, if you were to die at 62, well, maybe that just gave you a decade more of life. 10 years of sunrises and sunsets. I mean, that is a very, very, very valuable gift for a person that's looking to die at 62. Okay, and but people don't know when they're going to die. They don't know their karma that way, and so, it's kind of a guessing game for most people. But within the Kundalini can extend a person's life, to be sure. It can also radically improve the immune system of an individual, to be sure. Over.
And there's another question about physicality. Would it be possible that I'm growing taller? I mean, I'm 20 years old and supposedly I stopped growing. Is this even possible with Kundalini awakening? I have always wanted to grow taller and it is happening now.
Yes, that's quite possible. Over.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Can you say what is a horseshoe activation, Chrism, please?
Horseshoe. Okay. Horseshoe activation is where the left side of the body, including the left big toe, activates with the Kundalini. The toenail of the left big toe will typically turn black or a really dark blue, and sometimes the entire toe big toe itself on the left side can turn black and blue, and you haven't stubbed it, you haven't rammed your toe into anything. It's just all of a sudden it starts to turn those colors, and you're just kind of wondering, well, what the heck is that? And you'll start feeling tingles, and energy movement going up the left side of the body, and during a certain part of the process, it will go all the way up, and it'll cross over from the left to the right aspect of the cranium, and as it passes over that fontanelle area of the cranium, instead of the energy flow going up, which it is going up from the toe to the top of the cranium, well, now a certain level of energy is going to be shooting downward from the cosmos, going down the right side of the body, and this would be the masculine side, and that energetic shift, for it going downward is also the masculine expression of energy coming down through the cranial areas and into the right side of the individual. So this is a very, 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 I don't know how common it is. It's what happened to me. I see it happening to other people too, other Kundalini people, and basically it's a way that the sacred gender will begin to place itself within the human system. And so as that activation goes up, up the left side, over the fontanelle, and down the right side, and the corresponding energetic movement is given, that person is ready to begin to get put into Kundalini Zone. Get into this Kundalini Zone. All of a sudden, the person has their social their dance card loses a lot of dancers. Their social environment loses a lot of people, and certain people will be allowed to stay with you within this context, but most people will be given to leave, and you'll be actually given to leave them. Partially, you might do some of the leaving yourself, but it's different for each person, and yet there are some very strong similarities with each person too when it comes to the Kundalini Zone. Typically, it is a deprivation of the life expectations that were occurring before the activation took place. I don't know if I answered that question or not. Did I answer it?
I think you did, Chrism. Yes. Thank you.
Thanks.
The next question is chronic pain associated with Kundalini awakening?
Sometimes it is.
I think,
especially when you're resisting it. I mentioned some chronic pain scenarios at the beginning of the show, like fibromyalgia. Is a level of chronic pain that has a Kundalini origin, and let me bump Eileen on here. I think she's got that. Hey Eileen, how are you?
Hi, Chrism. I'm fine.
Hey, what's that stuff you take for that fibromyalgia? What is that? It starts with a G.
Well, I used to take glyphenicin. I haven't taken it for a while, but I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia about 15 years ago, and I did an exercise program, an eating program, and then I started taking the glyphenicin, and I didn't have the pain that usually comes. Fibromyalgia can be very debilitating, where people can't do much of anything. But I kind of feel lately it's coming back, so I have to revisit what I used to do. Glyphenicin is a protocol that was promoted by one doctor, and the medical profession is having a fit about it because the glyphenicin used to be very, very inexpensive, and it was really helping a lot of people. And now they've been pulling it off the shelf, and so a lot of women. It's mostly a female disease, and so a lot of them now have to go to the hardcore meds, which I really am not interested in doing. So anyway, it is, but mine came way before my Kundalini was activated. But I have a feeling it was like a pre-Kundalini type situation.
Sure. Well, thank you, my dear. Yeah. So with that understanding, the Kundalini can certainly bring on certain levels of chronic pain. People would see chronic fatigue as a level of chronic pain where they just can't get out of bed. People could see having electrical kriyas, having, like you're sitting on an 8,000 volt line, every hour or two of every day and getting kind of tossed around the room. That would be considered, a painful event in a person's life. I mean, so yeah, the Kundalini can bring the pain, but it doesn't typically do it just to bring the pain. It's bringing it like a headache. It's very, very easy for the Kundalini to bring a headache. And I mean some sharp headaches. I mean like knives going into the brain type of sharp migraine-style headache. It's not pleasant whatsoever at all. And yet it will bring that. And it basically is bringing that and saying, okay, enough meditation, enough devotion, enough prayer, enough whatever it is you're doing. It is using that methodology of warning, giving you a heads up, saying, hey, back off a little bit. Give the body time to process some of that energy, that you've already put into it. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, that kind of pain is fairly common for people that have the Kundalini. And so you do something different. You do something else. And with that in mind, you need to understand that it can bring... Let's just look at what Kundalini is. Kundalini is the hand of the divine. And the divine can bring as much pain as it wants to bring you, for whatever reason it would want to bring it. And that can be some pretty severe reasons. Karmically speaking, that can be pretty severe stuff. But it's not typical. People that are coming into the Kundalini, they're also coming into manifestations of joy and ecstasy and grace and kindness and goodness and love and the blessings of love and gratitude and graciousness and truthfulness and honesty and self-discipline. All these really, really, really positive qualities. This is where it's typical for Kundalini people to go. Depending upon their karma. But most often Kundalini is a blessing, an absolute blessing. But people have to begin to start treating it as a real thing instead of as an illness. If you treat it as an illness, well, guess what? It can become a severe illness. But if you treat it as a grace and as a beautiful, wonderful experience, well, then it will become that and more. That and more. Over.
Thank you, Chrism. Just to stay on that, just another little bit, would arthritis, in terms of Kundalini awakening, I mean, is there any point in naming things, or that thing that happens in the, what's it called, the mandibular joint, the temporomandibular joint, TMJ pain? Is there any point really in getting specific? I mean, what you said covers all of that, doesn't it?
Well, it does, but the thing is like with arthritis, it's synovial fluid that is missing, and that's what's causing a joint to have crepitus within itself. And that crepitus, too basic, the bones rubbing against each other without the smooth oil that allows the joint to lubricate itself. That's what causes the pain in arthritis, and definitely some of the changes in the thyroid and the parathyroid and the pineal gland and the thymus gland and some of these ductless glands can have a very, very defined effect upon the body's production of synovial fluid. And so that's something that you need to consider. You don't want to just, take some MD's or somebody's advice that doesn't have Kundalini and try to force fit it into your Kundalini awakening equation. It's just not going to work, and it can bring about pain of the severity of acute arthritis. You can do that. And so you really, really, really want to get as much good, solid information that you can, typically that you don't have to pay $1,000 million for, but maybe you can just go to www.kundaliniawakeningsystems1.com, and you can get that information there, and you just begin to start to build a case for acceptance and surrender and gratitude for the Kundalini within you, rather than trying to fight off this nasty, nasty disease, because it's not a disease, and you fighting it off is just going to make it worse for you. Because divinity, there is no cure for divinity. Over.
Okay, thank you. And the last question I have today, it's another one about physicality and doctors. It says, the doctors can't seem to understand why my right eye has a very high grade through machine testing has a very high grade, and compared to the machine testing, very low on the lens test. I can see very well. My eyes adjust to any kind of grade. But my right eye and my head area is heavy most of the time. I feel like I prefer to just have my eyes closed in order to relax my whole head instead of straining it because of the condition of my eyes. I know everything is energy, so I want to know what's up with the energy in my head and of my head. Thank you.
Well, that sounds more like the horseshoe activation manifestation, where the energy has come up the left side and it kind of has vivified the left side, given it lots of energy. And yet it hasn't completed its foray over the fontanelle and down the right side of the body yet. And so this person is kind of like caught within the transformation. And once that active masculine energy begins to descend down the right side, that person's face will begin to balance out again. Over.
Okay, Chrism. And there's a question has just come up on the group, so I'm just asking it now. I haven't read it. Here it comes. Namaste, everyone. I got my blood test done to find out that the cause of excessive fatigue. I got my blood tests done to find out the cause of excessive fatigue. They have revealed very low iron and vitamin B. I have started Solgar B12 and Spatone iron supplements, but my GP wants me to have B12 injections. Please advise me, should I continue taking supplements or listen to my GP? And this is on the Kundalini Awakening group, so a Kundalini person.
Oh, well, legally I'm supposed to say, well, you must always listen to your GP, your general practitioner, because they're your connection to the medical industry, and the government is always going to support the medical industry. So there you have it. From a Kundalini perspective, which the government doesn't recognize, and neither does medicine, from a Kundalini perspective, it's not a bad thing to have good levels of vitamins. Vitamin B12 injections are not going to hurt you. I mean, except for the injection site itself, which I've never had that. I've never had somebody give me vitamins that way. But yeah, I think that it's a win-win in my opinion. You can get your vitamins and keep that going. I mean, the worst thing that's going to happen is that the excess vitamins that you have will just come out the urine, and so it's not really going to bother you so much, except this MD is doing his or her best to take control of your health care. And that would be something I would look a little more carefully at, because They don't understand that you have Kundalini, and so you need to make the decision on what is being put into your body. You decide if you're going to listen to this GP. You decide if you're going to listen to the Kundalini within. Maybe the Kundalini within doesn't want you to have those injections. And if that's the case, you follow the Kundalini within. Because I'll tell you what, you let the MD inject you with something, and guess who's going to live with the results, right or wrong? You, not the MD. MD gets to go home in his Porsche, and go out clubbing that night, and have a great time out on the town, while you're home in bed because they shoved you full of a bunch of stuff that they don't understand how it works with Kundalini people. You have to pay the price, not anybody else. And so you make sure that when you're discerning what is appropriate for you and your Kundalini, that you listen to the Kundalini first, and then look at the facts or what other people may want to do to you. Secondly, now with regards to vitamins, vitamin B12, that's not a big deal. That is not a big deal. And most people in the United States West will have some level of vitamin B12 deficiency because the food that is being processed, all the nutrients are being processed out of our foods and replaced with GMOs or toxic food, which is anything that is not organic is a toxic food. And so, you're being filled with toxic foods with very, very low vitamin content. And so if the MD is saying, oh, hey, let's give you some vitamin B12 injections, well, I think that you could listen to the MD on that as long as that's all, they're looking to do. Over.
Okay, Chrism, thank you very much. And I just want to give that address out again if people would like to make a donation to the work that is being done with Kundalini Awakening Systems. It's www.chrism-kundalini.blogspot.com. And all donations are indeed gratefully received. And they're all my questions, Chrism. I don't have any more. Anything on the chat room there?
Just a second. And moving it on over to oops, wrong one, sorry. Here we go. Hello. This is a 347 number that I'm talking to right now. Whose number would that be? It starts with a 7 and a 6. And oh, look at that. Do you have anything to say about the Kundalini Zone at all?
Wait, I'm sorry. Are you talking to me?
Oh, yes. There you are. Okay. Do you have anything?
Sorry, my phone was on mute.
Oh, I see. Do you have anything to say? This is Brooke. Do you have anything to say about the Kundalini Zone and how that might manifest for you at all?
Well, it has manifested for me, I think. When you were talking about how it's taking away, it seems like for me, it's taken away everything. Now, you might say, no, it hasn't, but, you being my teacher, but I feel like it has taken away just about everything. So, yeah, I'm living that right now.
Give us an
living
example.
That.
How are you living that? What's going on?
Well, let's see. God, where do I begin? It feels like this has been going on for years. It's just been a constant refinement, and the refinement has. It's the reason why she's taking away is due to the refinement. But what's going on with me now? Is that what you asked me?
Yeah, how is the Kundalini Zone manifesting for you?
Well, now it's as though I'm in a very, very, very small box. My world has shrunk way back. First, I believe it was my relationship that went, my primary romantic relationship. And a lot of refinement with respect to that, a lot of healing went on with that. And then right after that, or actually it all felt like it happened in the same day, I needed to resign from my job, so that needed to go away. My health, I was working so hard and so long, I think the Kundalini infusion, it just didn't work. I couldn't do both. But yeah, it's tough on the ego because you think, well, am I a failure, or has something, what am I doing wrong, or I've had to work really hard to really let those things go. All my goals and things that I wanted to achieve, it just doesn't matter. It's not on the agenda. So that, the job, the relationship, social life, completely just reworked. And it feels like, right now, currently, it's just very, very small. Hello?
That's Tika.
Oh, my gosh. That's Tika. I love it. Oh, my God, that's my baby. Oh, she's so sweet. Yeah, so it feels like I'm in a very small little box with very, very, very specific relationships right now, not many, and it's just very small. So,
well, there you have it.
I hope I explained that well enough.
No, you did. You explained it very, very well. Now, what has helped you inside of that box? What has helped you come to terms with what is happening, or have you?
Well, I think I am on different levels, but I think having a teacher is, and because that validation is so necessary, because you're constantly being bombarded with the entity intrusion, if you have that hooked onto the ego, and you just don't really know which end is up. So it seems like, to you, your whole world is going in the opposite direction than the rest of the world. You feel all alone. No one else is going through what you're going through at all. I mean, walk outside. Everyone is, getting up and going to work and doing their thing, and, you just are having a very different experience. So to have a teacher validate that for you, and then begin a practice to start grounding and start, allow and nourishing the Kundalini energy has been what has helped me, rather than running from it and trying to get your life back together again, or pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get things going again, which is what I was doing for a long time, which is resistance.
How did that work for you?
It didn't work at all. Please. That's not really the way to go about it at all. It's, I wanted to say, too, that a lot of the resistance is subconscious. It's not even really conscious. So when we talk about we're resisting Kundalini, sometimes we just don't even know how to access these subconscious resistant patterns. They're locked in there, and we're not even aware of them. So one of the other things that is so vital is that surrender and devotion, because that is how you can begin to unlock those hidden away patterns of resistance that is making it harder for you, making your life harder and holding up the process, really. So, that's been a big thing for me to discover, too. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Brooke. I think what you've said is very, very, very astute, and it's coming from a person who is having the direct experience right now, among others who are also moving through it. And so, thank you for taking the time out of your day to give us that explanation.
Thank you, Chrism.
Into the blue, and I think that with Santara's permission here. Now, I know Santara has had a bit of an illness lately, and she is just coming out of that. So congratulations, Santara.
Oh, thank you, Chrism.
And now, Mary Jean asks, can the Kundalini heal the body? Most definitely, Mary Jean. The Kundalini can most definitely heal the body and protect the body as well. So let's all be clear about that. Kundalini is divinity, and divinity can do anything it sees fit with regards to the body. You're welcome. You're welcome, Mary Jean. And it can definitely heal the body. And I think Amelia is a pretty good example. I don't know how long you had that malaise, Santara. How long did you have it?
Oh, it's going on about a week now.
Are other people having it for like 3 or 4 weeks?
It's not gone yet. I'm not thinking of it in those terms. I do know, though, that in the past, Kundalini has what I would call compressed illnesses, where I have certainly gone through an illness really, really quickly compared to other people. When there's, let's say, a bug going, and people are, I remember particularly a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago, people are unwell, and I get it really, really intensely, and after 3 days, I'm perfectly okay, and everybody else is not well for quite a long time, So Kundalini does that. Kundalini compresses, and then I know also my immune system improves greatly after I've had an illness. I feel much better afterwards. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, good. And with that in mind, Amelia asked me to kind of cut the show a little bit short today, so I'm going to shave off that half hour. Okay, my dear?
That would be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Indeed. And we'll catch everybody again next week.
Yes, and so I'd like to say thank you to everybody in the chat room. I see you all there right now, and I want to thank you for joining us in this program. I'd like to thank Eileen and Brooke for being our special guests. I would like to thank Joey and Rosemary for joining us here, and Josephine Smith, there she is down there. Thank you very much, ladies, for joining us today. And make sure that you start to surrender to this Kundalini zone. If you haven't already, if you're new to it, surrender to it. Don't try for self-aggrandizement. Don't try for quick fixes. Do the work. Be astute. Be a good listener to the Kundalini, and she will not fail you. And I want to thank everybody for joining me today. And I am going to end this as I always do. And here we go. Ah.